Yo, what's going on? It's your boy Malik, back at it again with another video. Today we're doing something new. This is a new format and I'm already loving it. A walk around San Francisco that is going to be coupled with some gems. So, I just got out of office hours for the Inner Circle, and this is our creative office hour sessions where all of the creative entrepreneurs in the community, we get together to talk about our goals for our business and our creativity, to talk about the challenges that we're also experiencing, and to use it as a peer support and accountability group. So, I wanted to use this moment because there were some really interesting gems that we stumbled across that I think could be helpful for up and coming creatives. And so this video is going to be for anyone who is looking to start building their career as a creative. Someone who's like, I like creative stuff, I like creating content, but I've never tried it out. I never really got into it and I don't know where to start, right? Because right now during quarantine, this is actually, we're living through a massive boom. We're living through a revolution right now where creativity is on the rise. One of my big theses right now is that this is a golden age for the enlightened creatives. That's what it is, a golden age for the enlightened creatives, because in a world where people have to work from home, in a world where people no longer have the same opportunities available to them, everyone is turning to creatives either to help them grow their business, to help them create content, to help them reach the right audience, right? So like now is the time. So if you're someone who's like always been on the edge with your creativity, this video is going to teach you what you need to focus on to start building your skill set so that you can actually have a creative business that you work on, okay? So this is a situation that my homie Gabriel was actually going through. He's like, I want to start building my career, but I don't know where to start. He's talking about, he's taking online courses on Reddit. He's trying to find free courses to start, but he's feeling a little bit discouraged sometimes. And I'm like, dude, that's totally normal, especially when you're doing things that are new. It's easy to get discouraged. It's easy to lose motivation. And so we were giving him some suggestions on things that you can actually do that are going to help you, right? So my biggest piece of advice is, if you're a creative, to not focus on courses and not focus on like trying to necessarily learn the tools, but instead to focus on creating, right? Because creativity is something, it's a muscle, right? It very much lives in the flesh. So like the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it, right? So like for me, for example, I'm a UX designer, a web designer. I make apps now, I have clients, it's great. But it didn't always start this way. In the beginning, I remember the first website I ever made, I was in college. I think it was my junior year. I just started taking a web design course. I just joined the coding club to just learn the basics of like coding and creating websites and stuff like that. And then out of nowhere, I don't know why this person decided to reach out to me, but a friend of mine who always is like a hustler hacking on side projects, shout out Dex if you're watching this, he reached out and he's like, yo bro, do you do websites? And I'm like, sure, yeah, I do websites. Like, what do you need? And he told me what he needed, right? And so I literally just took that and I spent maybe like 2 weeks sleeping in the library, day in and day out. Like I literally remember just like waking up at the computer in the library and just continuing to code and like trying to figure out the most basic type of like web design stuff, right? And everything that I needed to do for this website, I basically had to Google. And I used to think that made me an imposter because I had to Google like every single step of the process. But what I realized was like, these software engineers who are getting paid 200 racks, 300 racks, whatever, they're actually doing the same thing. They're spending all day on Stack Overflow actually Googling how to do stuff, right? So that was the first thing. Like, just because you need help on your journey, just because you have to Google things to figure out how to do them, does not make you an imposter. That's number one. But I spent this entire week literally trying to figure out the process of making this website. And then I finally did. But then the next time I did a website, it was a lot easier. And so the guy came to me again. He's like, dude, I need a website for something else. Can you help me out? And so I spent, again, several weeks Googling every single step on how to do it. But the point of that story is that in doing the project, I was able to teach myself the basics, the tools, and how to get things done. I was able to build a workflow, and I was able to build my skills. And then at the end of it, I had a portfolio piece to reference as well. So if you're a creative, what I would recommend is there are 3 different types of projects that you should start working on that could be helpful for you. The first one is projects for friends, just like we just talked about. So I'm sure there are people in your network who have small businesses, who have side hustles, who have brands that they want to build or something, and they need a website, they need an app, they need something to actually help them get their product or their brand or their message or their story in the hands of the right people. Find those people and offer to do work for free or for a very, very, very nominal price. That's the first piece of advice that I would give you, because those types of projects are always the best. You get to do work that adds value, you get to push your limits, and I love those types of projects, so I would definitely recommend that. The second type of project that I would recommend is actually recreating. So if you don't have something that you want to create, if you don't necessarily have creative inspiration, but you want to learn this tool, what I would recommend is that you go and find your favorite brands, you go and find your favorite people that you follow, right? And you take notes out of their playbook and you're like, how can I recreate what they're doing? So if you like Nike and you want to learn photography, go look at all of Nike's photography campaigns and figure out how could you recreate that type of campaign. If you like Peter McKinnon's photography, go on his Instagram and try to see how could you edit your photos in the same style that he actually has. All right, if you want to create logos, why don't you list out all your favorite brands and think about how you could actually create logos, recreate those brands' actual logos, right? So instead of stressing yourself over creating something or just taking an online course that's going to teach you a tool but not leave you with any portfolio pieces or any tangible experiences, what you want to focus on is recreating, right? And then the third type of project that you can work on are personal projects, okay? So these are projects that are things that just inspire you, things that you would want. So in the inner circle, one of our members, Connor, he just had this idea dude, I was looking for cool magnets for my fridge, but I couldn't find anything. And so he's like, dude, somebody should make cool magnets. They could be nostalgia, they could be motivational, they could be memes, they could be hipster and just trendy visual type of magnets, but somebody should create something like that for people to take advantage of, right? And so if you have these types of products where you're looking for a product, but you can't find it, right? That should be a cue for you that you should go out and figure out how to actually create that product, right? So that's the third type of project, personal things where it's you're looking for something that you can't find, go out and recreate that thing. Okay, so create things that you want to use, make things that you enjoy, make content that you want to watch, make things that you want to engage with. That's the biggest piece of advice. Okay, so don't just take these courses where you're learning information in a vacuum, but do things that are going to require you to actually practice, implement, build your portfolio, and those are the type of things that are going to help you out in the long run as a creator. Okay, and so beyond projects, there are other things that you can do as well to help you out. Okay, a big thing about creativity is creating mood boards, finding your inspiration, finding your voice. And one of the easiest ways to find your voice, again, building off of that theme of recreating, is by cataloging and seeing what type of art is actually out there in the world and what moves me personally, right? So I'm a big Pinterest guy. I love making Pinterest boards of different aesthetics. People ask me, how did I find the designers that I hired onto my team? Well, I spent several months on end on Pinterest cataloging different web design styles, illustration styles, and this wasn't for any particular project, but it's just because it inspired me, right? And then as I built out that catalog of different types of projects that I like, that were good references, I just started hitting up those people whose work that I already liked and started to figure out, like, how can I bring them into what I'm doing so that we can all benefit together. So start categorizing the things that you like, because that's a great way to start building yourself as a creative as well. Another big thing that Connor recommended was actually documenting your progress along the way. This is huge because a lot of times as a creative, especially as we are the Instagram generation, we love that Insta gratification. It's easy to get demotivated sometimes and feel like you're not making progress. Or one thing you'll learn about when you're actually creating is that, like, I've spent 12 hours nonstop working on one thing. Literally making a website, editing a photo shoot. I've done photo shoots where I'm literally shooting for 12 hours straight, right? And so when you're doing these kinds of things that require a lot of intensity, you can easily get demotivated sometimes. And so one of the best ways for you to combat that demotivation is actually documenting your progress, okay? Documenting your progress is going to be key. Like, keep a paper trail of everything that you're doing along the way. If you decided that you wanted to start making logos and hacking on projects in January, and then by February you actually had like a logo that you made that may not be the thing that you actually like, but you put something out there, document that. Keep notes, keep a weekly reflection of, like, hey, this is my goal for the year as far as my creative projects go, right? And this is the progress that I'm making, right? Like, do that, because in the moments where you're getting like creative blocks, in the moments where you're feeling frustrated, in the moments where you're realizing you need to redo the entire project that you just spent several hours trying to figure out, which has happened to me so many times. In those moments, when you look back at how far you've come, those are the type of things that are gonna inspire you to wanna keep going, okay? So document your progress, keep a paper trail. And if you wanna learn more about how you can document your progress in a career sense, check out the episode of the podcast where we actually talk about keeping a paper trail and showing your impact and using that to negotiate, get higher salaries, pivot into new opportunities, etc. And we have a whole series on like resume building that teaches you how to do that as well. Okay, you know I gotta get my shameless plugs in, baby. You can't blame me, baby. You can't blame me. But yeah, man, awesome stuff on that front. Like, document, catalog your inspiration, work on different types of projects that are practical, whether they're personal, whether they're recreating, or whether they're working on things for people in your network. Okay, and then the final tip comes from the homie Travis. Travis suggested a very, very, very simple framework for you to start like building your creative knowledge and learning new skill set, because a lot of times people get hung up on the tools. They have the vision, they have the inspiration, they have the idea, but they don't know how to execute it. They don't necessarily know how to work Photoshop. They don't know how to work Figma. They don't know their way around Adobe Premiere, right? So how do you start to build that up? Because there's a lot of ground to make up, especially if you have these really big aspirational visions for yourself. The biggest tip, and I love this from Travis, is like anytime you're watching Netflix, try to remind yourself to watch a video tutorial instead. So like use you watching Netflix as a trigger for you to actually watch a video that is going to help you on your creative journey, right? So like fill up that time that you would have otherwise spent doing leisurely activities, and try to get some leisure that also gets you some inspiration and some education there as well. And I feel like if you do those things, you're gonna be setting yourself up for success. So again, this video is for anyone who is a creative, who's just starting out on their journey, who's trying to really like learn the tools, learn the skill set, and take advantage of this boom that we're all experiencing during this pandemic, this creative boom. Because right now, creatives are thriving, man. Creatives are thriving because everything has to go digital. Everything that wasn't previously digital now has to be digital, right? So all those conferences and events, they're all virtual now. All these marketing campaigns where they were like huge out of home, they're sponsoring, you know, Super Bowls and things like that aren't, like, Super Bowl still won't happen, but you know, all the other big in-person events that aren't happening anymore, they gotta have virtual equivalents. So people need content, because that's what people care about. People need stories, because that's what people connect with emotionally. People need creatives to help them get their message, their product out there. So this is very much people who are creative entrepreneurs, but like take advantage of that. And if you want to learn how to do that, again, start off by working on one of those 3 types of project that we mentioned. projects that are personal, things that you wish existed that don't yet exist, projects that are recreations, so finding brands, finding creators, finding people who inspire you and trying to recreate what they made, and then projects that are, I forgot, personal, friends, and then recreation. Yeah, so we got it. So it's like things for friends. I didn't say the friends one this time in the recap. Right, so I'm not cutting it anyway. We gonna keep it. So the third one is working on things for your friends or things for people in your network. And then the last 3 tips are catalog your inspiration, catalog your references, keep a paper trail in that regard. Document your progress so you don't lose motivation. And then anytime you're doing like relaxing, like leisurely type activities, try to use that as a trigger to actually like go watch a tutorial or something like that. And I feel like if you do those things, it's gonna help you a lot as a creative who's looking to establish themselves, to build their business, and to put their product out there, because there's so much opportunity, but you gotta make sure that you're taking advantage of it. So these are the things that you need to do. These are things that have worked for me on my journey, and I hope they work for you as well. If you like this video, like, comment, subscribe, check out the podcast. You know we always trying to drop them gems, baby. Dropping them gems, baby. So yeah, own your power, give back, leave no stone unturned. Black Lotus, ow!